Hi, my name's Ryan Van Dyke. I'm in my second year at Estrella Mountain, and this year I've had a lot of classes that have forced me to do a lot of research and writing and kind of reflect on things that are going on in society. And there's been a situation that's particularly caught my interest, and so I've done extensive research covering this situation, and I'd like to discuss it with you guys today. And the most non-biased way possible, I'm going to discuss the situation at the southern border. I'm not going to take a political party. I'm not going to talk about anything other than the problems that I see and hopefully a solution for something that affects every American out there. And so this situation is the crisis at the southern border. And there's three big concepts with it. The first concept is just the sheer amount of people that are accessing America through the southern border currently. Then there is limited resources, so we don't have enough Border Patrol. Border Patrol doesn't have enough equipment or the legal authority to take any action to prevent our third point, which is the dangers that it's going to cause to American people. And so let's dive in. Let's start. I'm going to start with the amount of immigrants that are crossing through the southern border. So typically, it was primarily Mexican citizens that were crossing the southern border into America. That is no longer the case. The southern border has become a global crossroad for everyone. The word is out that the southern border is open to America. And so you have people from even our enemies like Russia, China, India that are working their way up through Mexico into America. There's other countries from South America, Africa, Ecuador. All of these countries now know that they can access America through the southern border, and everybody's flooding at the same time. Because of this, Gramlich with Pew Research actually stated that over 6 million immigrants have crossed over the southern border. And those are people that are recorded, not people that slip past the radar and aren't recorded. That was just in 2023 alone, which is a record high. And that number's only skyrocketing every single month. And then, like I mentioned, the economist has quoted many times that it's become a global crossroad. The southern border of America is a global crossroad for anyone, any country that wants to come in. And so the issue that this faces is you have limited resources and you have Border Patrol that is trying to process so many people that these people are ultimately treated terribly. And so the U.S. Human Rights Abuse Against Immigrants wrote an article that talks about the living conditions and the journey that most of these people go on. So imagine the hardest thing you've ever done is cross many, many miles and oceans to try to get to America to create a better life, and you're met with a waiting list, and you're met with time that just is crazy, and living situations that are terrible, a lot like jail is what these people are living in. And so then you go and we look at some possible resources or what our president's doing about it. And so Jane Ainsley from NBC News says Biden is asking for help from the Mexican government. The issue with this is that the Mexican government's not going to do it for free. And so he's taking our money, tax-paying money, and putting it to the Mexican government to have them help, and they're not really helping. So there's this situation. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. When all of these immigrants arrive and they're waiting in this long list, Tom Pettit from Borders to Buses, in an article named Borders to Buses, actually talks about how immigrants show up, they're processed, they have to wait, they're living in terrible conditions, and then they're told, where do you want to go? We'll put you on a bus, we'll send you to the airport, and we'll fly you to whatever state you want to go to. Now, this is causing a huge issue between states because Texas, Arizona, southern states are flying immigrants to bigger cities, Chicago, New York, and these cities are already flooded with people. They don't have enough resources for immigrants. And then another thing that Tom Pettit also hit on in that article is President Trump, when he was in office, was using Article 42, which said anyone that's suspected to have a disease, carrying a disease, can be deported back to their home country. Well, as soon as Biden got in office, he took that out. And so the issue with that is obviously now you have Border Patrol has no legal resources to send immigrants back to where they came from, even if they're harmful to America. And so Lauren Gambino in The Guardian talks about that journey that the immigrants take a little bit. She talks about how nearly 9,000 reported dead or missing in 2024, which is a staggering number. It kind of tells you how hard this journey is for immigrants trying to make the way. And then another huge issue, and Alyssa Kamrick from the Brookings, she talks about 4 reasons on why this is an issue and why it's not going anywhere. One of them is that the hiring process for Border Patrol is super hard. And so Border Patrol agents are vetted extremely well, and it's a long hiring process. And then most of them can get more money to do easier work. If somebody came to you and said, hey, do you want to be a Border Patrol agent? You're going to do this and this and this. It starts to get daunting. And I can't imagine that most people would want to take that position when they can make the same amount of money doing a lot less work. And then it talks about, Alyssa also talks about the funding from the government that's inadequate, the sheer amount of immigrants again, and then the political agenda that's getting in the way, because you have like Jan Flores from the Brooking also, he states how in a situation in Texas there was state officials that were blocking federal Border Patrol agents and trying to send immigrants back to Mexico, and it just ended up being in a big standoff. Nobody could do their job effectively and turned into a big ordeal. So we've got the sheer amount of immigrants, we've got limited resources that we've talked about. The biggest thing to me is the danger that it presents to Americans. So you have immigrants that are carrying diseases from all over the world that are now being introduced to America. COVID's an example of that. But there's so many examples of this. And then you've got drugs, fentanyl. Fentanyl is being processed through the southern border at an extremely fast rate, and it's becoming a huge issue. And then another huge one is the risk of war. You've got Russia and China. We spend millions and millions of dollars on home defense, and that's all going to waste because anybody can walk in our border at any point. So to close, we talked about again the amount of immigrants, the limited resources, and the dangers that it presents to America. And I'm begging you and I urge you guys, the only thing that we can do is elect officials that have our best interests in mind. So I'm begging you to do your research and take action when it comes to voting. I'm not telling you which side to vote for. I'm not telling you how to stand. I'm asking you to do your research and vote. Make your vote count for the best person who can fix the crisis at the southern border. Thank you, guys.